This is an iHeart podcast.
Stop settling for weak sound. It's time to level up your game and bring the boom. Hit the town with the ultra-durable LG X Boom portable speaker and enjoy vibrant sound wherever you go. Elevate your listening experience to new heights because let's be real, your music deserves it. The future of sound is now with LG X Boom. And for a limited time, save 25% at LG.com with code FALL25. Bring the boom. X Boom.
There's a lot going on in Hollywood. How are you supposed to stay on top of it all? Variety has the solution. Take 20 minutes out of your day and listen to the new Daily Variety podcast for breaking entertainment news and expert perspectives.
Where do you see the business actually heading?
Featuring the iconic journalists of Variety and hosted by co-editor-in-chief Cynthia Littleton.
The only constant in Hollywood is change.
Open your free iHeartRadio app, search Daily Variety, and listen now.
I'm meeting with, as you know, a couple of Democrats in a little while about the country, about keeping our country open. They're going to have to do some things because their ideas are not very good ones. They're very bad for our country. So we'll see how that works out.
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Tuesday morning. Nice to have you with us on the 47 Morning Update. And we've got one big extended story for you. We are hours away from a government shutdown as Democrats and Chuck Schumer have made it very clear, unless we give them $1.5 trillion in radical extreme spending programs, they're going to hold you, the American taxpayer, hostage. We'll break down all of the moves. It's 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number one.
We are hours away from a government shutdown. That is the big story. Now, we know that Democrats don't want to shut down the government, right? How do we know this? They've been saying it for years. But all of a sudden now, they're in favor of it. So which Democratic Party do you really trust? Well, I'd love to just remind you, the American people, what the Democrats have said in the not-too-distant past about government shutdowns. Many of the voices that you're going to hear are still in power, running our government right now.
These people hostage instead of just letting them do their jobs, which they want to do while we work out our differences. So wrong.
This is democracy. And in a democracy, hostage tactics are the last resort for those who can't win their fights through elections, can't win their fights in Congress, can't win their fights for the presidency, and can't win their fights in the courts.
A government shutdown of any duration would harm hardworking Americans and our economy.
Why should we ask TSA officers to go without their hard-earned pay while they protect our airports?
I'm a senator from Virginia. Some of the hardest effects of shutdown will be seen in my state.
If the government shuts down, it will be average Americans who suffer most.
Some who right now are trying to figure out how they're going to pay rent, how they're going to make mortgage payments, how they're going to keep college payments going, how they're going to keep the lights on, how they're going to keep food on the table.
Had the government shut down, hundreds of thousands of people would have not gotten their paychecks. Federal employees would have been furloughed, sent home.
Our military won't get paid. Head Start teachers won't get paid. Our wildfire fighters won't get paid. Federal prison guards won't get paid.
A government shutdown means seniors who rely on Social Security could be thrown into chaos. Our veterans could see regional VA offices shut down and support services put on hold.
Shutdowns are not good for the economy.
Shutdowns cost taxpayers billions of dollars per week.
Shutdowns cost the economy billions of dollars.
They cost businesses money. They could even cause a downgrade to the nation's credit rating.
Families who benefit from WIC and other nutrition programs could see benefits halted.
If this shutdown continues indefinitely, 39 million Americans will risk not having enough food. They will lose their SNAP benefits in February. So that means American children will be going to bed hungry. It's unacceptable.
The longer that this shutdown goes on, the more Americans that will be affected.
Critical services and our economy are being threatened with poison pill partisanship. Shutting down the government should not be a negotiating tactic.
Hostage taking is all they have left. A last gasp of those who cannot cope with the realities of our democracy.
That is the Democratic Party. That montage put together by the White House. President Donald Trump putting it out on Truth Social as well. And the question that everyone should be asking is, where are those Democrats and what changed? Well, we know a lot of what changed, and that is the fact that they want to hold America hostage for what they want. What do they want? Well, they want a $1.5 trillion pork barrel list for them. What is included in it is what should shock most of you. Free health care for illegal immigrants. Child mutilations that are covered by the taxpayers. Medicaid fraud is also something they want to keep going. Open borders is part of the $1.5 trillion as well. And demanding men in women's sports. But what are Democrats saying online? Mark Warner said this. Democrats' position is simple. Lower costs, save rural health care, keep the government open. It shouldn't be this hard. Let's just repeal costly cuts to health care and save millions of Americans money. Well, then the question is, why is it costing us $1.5 trillion for all the radical ideals that they're demanding? This is who the left is. They're literally holding the country hostage now. And it is a party of open borders, of allowing for violent crime and transgender for everybody. And all of those ideas are now literally jeopardizing a lot of important things, which include military pay, critical care for veterans, firefighter pay, disaster relief funding, and many more programs on which many Americans rely on. Now, Donald Trump and Republicans are committed to keeping the government open with a clean funding extension. What's even more shocking is they don't want that. Now, you may say, well, hold on a second. What is a clean funding extension? What does this actually mean? How do we know that's a good thing? Well, take a listen to what the White House press secretary had to say about it when she was explaining it to the press.
What I will share is that what this White House wants and what Republicans want, we want a clean funding extension to keep the government open. That's all we're advocating for, a simple, clean budget extension, a straightforward, responsible solution to keep the government open to November 21st and allow the full year appropriations process to move forward. And I will add, this is the same budget that the Democrats approved 6 months ago, just adjusted for inflation. And unfortunately, all of a sudden now, they want to shut down the government. And if the government is shut down, it's only going to, it will be the fault of the Democrats, and it will only hurt the most vulnerable in our country, our seniors, our veterans, our military families, and increasing security for members of Congress, which is something this White House and the administration supports. And if you look back at the statements made by Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries in the past, they too have advocated against a shutdown and for keeping the government open. Democrat Chuck Schumer himself said a shutdown would mean chaos and pain and needless heartache for the American people. He said once, avoiding a shutdown is very good news for the country, for our veterans, for parents and children, for farmers, and for small businesses. Hakeem Jeffries also said it's about the harm. Families will be hurt if there is a government shutdown. Farmers will be hurt. Holiday travel will be impacted. Democrats clearly know what the right thing to do is here. It's to join with Republicans to pass this clean funding extension. That's what the White House and the president wants.
So that's the playground that we have right now before us. They are playing with many people's lives. They're playing with people who desperately need their paychecks. They're playing with our men and women in uniform, including their paychecks. And if you look at all of what I just described to you, you would think that Democrats would say, all right, let's just have a clean extension. No. That is absolutely not what they're wanting to do. So then you have to ask yourself the question, why is this Schumer shutdown becoming a reality? Well, it actually is all about politics, but not the usual them against us mentality. It's actually really simple. Chuck Schumer is going to shut down the government to show that he is a radical liberal. Now, you may say, why would he want to do that? It's actually very simple. He is terrified of a primary challenge from the famous radical AOC. The Senate Minority Leader is pushing Congress to a government shutdown because he's so scared of being challenged in a primary by far-left Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. The Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman, Tom Cotton, also throwing this out today, making it clear this is all about him trying to save himself. And after Schumer and the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, left their Monday afternoon meeting with President Donald Trump without a deal to avoid a government shutdown before the Wednesday deadline, Cotton blasted the New York Senator in a statement saying, quote, Chuck Schumer is shutting down the government because he's terrified of a primary from AOC. His actions are disgraceful, referring to when asked about the reaction of Democrats' refusal to agree on even a short-term funding deal. House Republicans were joined by a singular Democrat, Representative Jared Golden of Maine, in passing a bill on September the 19th that would have kept the government funding until November 20th. But Senate Democrats blocked it from advancing. Instead, they proposed their own funding bill demands with that extra, 1.4, 1.5 trillion for the radical far-left projects, including free health care for illegals, funding, by the way, for NPR and PBS, and transgendered surgeries that you're supposed to pay for. Now, Republicans blocked the Democrats' counteroffer for advancing this in the Senate, leaving Congress to either come to an agreement by midnight on Tuesday or accept a real government shutdown that could actually last a long time. Chuck Schumer and Senate Democrats are willing to shut down the government because they're scared of their radical base. Take a listen to Senator Cotton saying this to Hugh Hewitt.
Schumer is about to shut down the government because he's scared of a girl in New York City. Her name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and he fears that she will primary him 4 years from now in 2028 if he doesn't do the far left bidding. If you recall, Hugh, in March, as we were on the verge of another Schumer shutdown, he caved and voted to keep the government open and gave all kinds of backflipping explanations for why he was not doing what the left demanded, and he got some blowback from his left and from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And he's been fearful of her and of this vote ever since. So he's apparently about to lead his caucus over the cliff and shut down the government because he doesn't want Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to run against him in 4 years.
Is it actually that simple? The answer is yes, especially if you listen to Democrats that we played for you earlier in their own words. So where do we go from here? The reality is we are moments away, hours away, minutes away from a government shutdown. And Democrats are doing this for two reasons. They want to fund their radical agenda. But what they're also doing it for is to try to save their leader. Chuck Schumer came out in front of the cameras and made it very clear after he left the White House meeting. Here's his thoughts on the shutdown.
We have very large differences on health care and on their ability to undo whatever budget we agree to through rescissions and through impoundment, as well as pocket rescissions.
It's very clear. Chuck Schumer not talking like a man that wants to actually get anything done. You had the Vice President, J.D. Vance, who came out of that meeting with Speaker Johnson. Here's part of what he said in response.
We just had a very frank conversation with the Senate and House Democratic leadership. Look, the principle at stake here is very simple. We have disagreements about tax policy, but you don't shut that government down. We have disagreements about health care policy, but you don't shut the government down. You don't use your policy disagreements as leverage to not pay our troops, to not have essential services of government actually function. You don't say the fact that you disagree about a particular tax provision is an excuse for shutting down the people's government and all the essential services that come along with it. If you look at what Chuck Schumer has said in the past consistently, it's whatever our disagreements are, let's negotiate with them. Let's talk about them. Let's figure out a bipartisan solution, but you don't shut the government down. In other words, you don't put a gun to the American people's head and say, unless you do exactly what Senate and House Democrats want you to do, we're going to shut down your government. That's exactly what they're proposing out there. Now, we have to remember, they're very frustrated. They say that they're very frustrated about the fact that this negotiation has not taken place until today. But if you look at the original thing they did with this negotiation, it was a $1.5 trillion spending package. basically saying to the American people, we want to give massive amounts of money, hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal aliens for their health care while Americans are struggling to pay their health care bills. That was their initial foray into this negotiation. We thought it was absurd. We told them it was absurd, and now they come in here saying that if you don't give us everything that we want, we're going to shut down the government. We think that's preposterous. We think it's totally unacceptable, and we think the American people are going to suffer because these guys won't do the right thing. Now, I want to make one final point here. You will hear a lot from Senate Democrats, from House Democrats about the fact that American health care policy is broken. Well, we know that American health care policy is broken. We've been trying to fix it for the 8 months that we've been in office, but every single thing that they accuse about being broken about American health care is policy the Democrats have supported for the past decade. So if they want to talk about how to fix American health care policy, let's do it. The Speaker would love to do it. The Senate Majority Leader would love to do it. Let's work on it together, but let's do it in the context of an open government that's providing essential services to the American people. That's all that we're proposing to do, and the fact that they refuse to do that shows how unreasonable their position is. I think we're headed to a shutdown because the Democrats won't do the right thing. I hope they change their mind, but we're going to see.
I hope they change their mind, but we'll see. He wasn't done there. There's also other points that were made as well. Leader John Thune on the Democrats pulling America towards a government shutdown. Here's what he said walking out of the meeting.
This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're talking about. 24 pages. It's a continuing resolution to fund the government through November the 21st. I don't know where they're saying this is some huge partisan thing. This is something we do fairly routinely. And when the Democrats had the majority on 13 different occasions, they had the majority, President Biden was in the White House, we passed continuing resolutions to fund the government. This is purely and simply hostage-taking on behalf of the Democrats. The Republicans are united. House Republicans, Senate Republicans, President Trump. The House has passed a clean funding resolution to fund the government until November the 21st. It's clean, it is bipartisan, and it is short-term. But it gives us enough time to finish the appropriations process, which is the way we should be funding the government. So Republicans in the House and the Senate, President United, they've passed the bill. This is sitting right now at the Senate desk. We could pick it up and pass it tonight. We could pick it up and pass it tomorrow before the government shuts down. And then we don't have a government shutdown. It is totally up to the Democrats because right now they are the only thing standing between the American people and the government shutting down. We're all in favor of funding the government. And this is something that's been done routinely 13 different times by the Democrats when they had the majority. So it's to me, it's purely a hostage-taking exercise on the part of the Democrats. We're willing to sit down and work with them on some of the issues they want to talk about, whether it's the extension of premium tax credits with reforms. We're happy to have that conversation. But as of right now, this is a hijacking of the American people, and it's the American people who are going to pay the price.
It's a hijacking of the American people, and the American people are going to be the ones that pay the price. Democrats, by the way, want Americans to pay for health care for illegals, and they're ready to shut down the government for it. Elizabeth Warren, 7 hours ago, said Americans need affordable health care. No one should go bankrupt because they get sick and needed a doctor. If Republicans want to shut down the government so they can keep increasing costs and cutting health care, then they need to explain that to the American people. So what are the Democrats demanding? Not health care for you. They're demanding health care for illegal immigrants. I'm going to say it again. They're demanding it for illegal immigrants. The Speaker of the House, Johnson, saying this on Fox News Channel about the shutdown.
It went well, Sean. By the way, thanks for playing the highlight reel tonight. Their hypocrisy is just breathtaking, and it's shameless. And it was on display in the Oval Office. Credit President Trump showing real leadership. He's operating in good faith, and that was on display by bringing the leaders in. He heard the arguments and the debates. They're baseless. I mean, Chuck Schumer is now arguing exactly the opposite of what he has always said in his career. And why? You hit the nail right on the head, Sean. He's doing it out of political desperation. He is willing to force the government to shut down just to oppose President Trump for temporary political cover for himself, and he will abandon the American people just to do that. It's really something to watch.
Now, Speaker Johnson also had this to say as he walked out of the White House and talking about just how consequential this shutdown will be, where Democrats aren't even thinking about our men and women in uniform, those needing FEMA funding, mental health services, and a whole lot more.
Their counterproposal, what Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are demanding, is that they claw back the $50 billion that we put into the rural hospital support structure. They want to take that back. We're not going to do that. We passed that because we have to allow for that. Also, if they shut the government down, not only are troops unpaid, federal workers, and all the services that everybody relies upon, but the WIC program, the nutrition program, women, infant, and children, they will not get that program, will not be funded. FEMA won't be funded. We have hurricanes off the coast of the United States right now. This is serious business. You have telehealth, you have mental health services, all that's funded by the government would stop if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and the Democrats have their way. The Democrat shutdown would be damaging for the country. We can't allow for it.
So here we are on the verge of a major shutdown. The White House Office of Management Director Vaught saying this is something that the American people need to understand is going to cost you a lot of money, all because of the demands of the Democrats.
We want to keep this government open. It is not good for the American people to have the government shut down for any period of time. We will manage it appropriately, but it is something that can all be avoided. It can all be avoided by accepting a reasonable position, which is what the House has passed and what sits at the Senate desk, which is to continue to fund the government with a short-term continuing resolution. It has never been a viewpoint that $1.5 trillion is a reasonable amount of spending to be included on a short-term CR. This is hostage-taking. It is not something that we are going to accept, and we hope that the Democrats come back from the brink, fund this government, and allow us to move forward. Thank you. We want to.
So here we are. We are in a moment where the government is about to be shut down. And a shutdown will happen for one main reason. Because Chuck Schumer needs to stand up to AOC and the radical left and show that he can be just as extreme as they are. During the Biden administration, there were 13 threatened shutdowns. The Republicans in the minority did the right thing. They kept the government open. And what Chuck Schumer has been asked is this. They're asking the Democrats to do the same. They're not willing to do it. All because of a $1.5 trillion hostage plan. Ransom. That is what this is. And Chuck Schumer making it clear in 13 seconds. We have very large differences on health care. Yes, we do. Democrats want taxpayers to fund free health care for illegals, and Republicans do not. So here we are, and the National Economic Council, Kevin Hassett, saying since President Trump took office, capital spending, equipment spending, which is the stuff that really drives wage growth, is up 7%. There's a massive investment boom, and that's why we're seeing GDP growth. And Democrats hate that, and they want to stifle the economy as well. And they clearly believe this is another way to do that.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson Podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.
Stop settling for weak sound. It's time to level up your game and bring the boom. Hit the town with the ultra-durable LG X Boom portable speaker and enjoy vibrant sound wherever you go. Elevate your listening experience to new heights because let's be real, your music deserves it. The future of sound is now with LG X Boom. And for a limited time, save 25% at LG.com with code FALL25. Bring the boom. X Boom.
There's a lot going on in Hollywood. How are you supposed to stay on top of it all? Variety has the solution. Take 20 minutes out of your day and listen to the new Daily Variety podcast for breaking entertainment news and expert perspectives.
Where do you see the business actually heading?
Featuring the iconic journalists of Variety and hosted by co-editor-in-chief Cynthia Littleton.
The only constant in Hollywood is change.
Open your free iHeartRadio app, search Daily Variety, and listen now.
This is an iHeart podcast.